Welcome to Mondays with Vish. That's Vish Kumaran. I'm Grant Cohn. Not a lot to talk about these days, but a couple of really important things. We're going to focus on those today. It's not going to be a big, long show. If you have some questions, feel free. But we got to start with Deebo. Here's the way I want to frame it. When I first started having Vish on the show, the idea was like after games, Vish, make it make sense for everyone. Well, we don't have a game to talk about, but this drama is as complicated as any football game. So, Vish, please make it make sense. Now the new information is that Deebo isn't going to be on the field this offseason until he gets an extension. We don't know if he's even going to be in the building. What do you think?
Oh, is it that he's not going to participate in any offseason activity? Was that reported?
Yeah, until he gets an extension, he won't be on the field, and we don't know if he's going to show up just to be there for OTAs.
Okay,
we'll have to find out.
Okay. Right. That part of it
Yes.
is not true. I mean, what different did you expect? Just because Fred Warner showed up and George Kittle showed up does not mean Deebo Samuel has to show up. These workouts are voluntary, and he's well within his right not to show up.
Also, he might show up. He might show up. We just know he's not going to be on the field. He might show up. We don't know. We'll find out Tuesday.
I was going to say, if I was him, I think he has a $50K bonus for showing up. I mean, I understand in the grand scheme of things, the money he's going to make $50K is nothing, but it's still $50K. I'd show up, take the $50K, and then chill. Don't do anything.
Anytime you can make $50K just by showing up, you got to do that. If you're beyond that in life, you got to look in the mirror. I want $50K to show up. I would show up.
Me too. Give it to me tomorrow. Yeah. I'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I think is interesting is go ahead.
No, so what I was going to say was generally, I think, right, you hit on it. It's interesting. I mean, we can go through this topic. I don't want to keep rehashing things we've talked about because we've explained already why this negotiation is going to be exceptionally complex. I think we did it last week. Then we did it a month ago. We did it twice. We've gone past that. And we have to look forward now into what kind of happens in the future. And to me, the biggest question is, okay, Deebo Samuel is not going to participate in the offseason workouts. Let's take it a step further. Let's say he doesn't show up. Does this put any more pressure on the 49ers to try and get the deal done faster? Because I think at this point, the way we're looking at it is
the business perspective.
From the business perspective, we feel that, hey, at this point, it is not contentious enough where we think an extension will be reached, but that's us on the outside looking in. I mean, if this continues, then you would have to think that, there's other possibilities the Niners would explore because the negotiation just continues to be ongoing. But at this point, I wouldn't say I'm not worried, but I'm not so worried that I'm thinking in my head when I have other stuff to do, oh, shoot, Deebo still hasn't been signed. If that makes sense from the fan perspective, obviously, if things were good and dandy, then the contract would be done and we would not be having this conversation. But here we are having the conversation. But it's still April, so the Niners still have a large time period to go through this negotiation and get him paid. The issue to me is the timing, right? And Deebo, I kind of appreciate Deebo. I know a lot of fans don't, but I really appreciate his authenticity and his just being himself and not acquiescing to, what other people did before him or what other people are doing after him, sticking to what Deebo Samuel wants. And Deebo Samuel wants to get paid, and Samuel wants to get paid now. And to me, that's where the conversation becomes interesting, is how will the 49ers react to this? Because let's say he doesn't show up, the Niners, maybe try and call his bluff, and then he doesn't come to the first part of the offseason post the draft, the OTAs and stuff. Then I wonder, because he's such an integral part of this offense, because the Niners are installing an offense with a quarterback who has gotten indications that he'll be the guy, Grant, indications. And because of those indications, right, he's going to be a first-time starter. He's going through this full offseason as a starter. It would behoove the 49ers to have their best offensive player going through the entire offseason process with him so that they can get as many reps as they want together. So from that standpoint, does it put pressure on the 49ers to say, hey, we got to get Deebo Samuel done? And to me, that's the point in the offseason, because Trent Williams, right? And that's the one I keep going back to, because Trent Williams put this kind of pressure on the 49ers in a different way, and he did it by attacking the open market. And then when he got the big offers in the open market, he was able to use that to kind of leverage himself and say, "Hey, Kyle, I'm gone if I don't get this deal." And Shanahan then immediately made sure that, Trent Williams got his money. Would a similar type of thing happen with Deebo, where Shanahan comes in and he's like, "Yo, like, I understand you guys want to save a couple $1,000,000, but I need Deebo Samuel on the field this offseason because that's how I can win football games with him and Trey Lance." And with that, then maybe pressure into Deebo Samuel getting a deal in May. That's the money he wants.
Okay, that's very interesting. Here's what the angle I'm looking at it. Tell me if you're here with me.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about this is that Deebo's not the only one doing this. Right, there are 4 wide receivers who are up for extensions right now with their teams. Deebo's one of them. There's also Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, and AJ Brown. And all these guys are really good too. Now, Deebo just had the best season, but these guys have had great seasons too.
Right.
They're all going to get big money. And Deebo and AJ Brown are the same agents, Dandy and Sexton, Torrey Dandy and Jimmy Sexton. DK Metcalf is also with CAA, but they have different agents. And then you have Terry McLaurin, who has different agents entirely. What's interesting about this is Terry McLaurin has already said he's going to show up. He's not going to participate, but he's going to show up. And what did he say? Because he's a leader. And
they played the PR angle, right? They said he's a team leader. So don't get mad at Terry McLaurin for not participating. He's coming in, he's showing leadership. He's just was trying to protect himself till he gets the money.
Frankly, if I played the PR game, tell him to say that. That's probably what the agent told him to say. I think is smart because that keeps the fans on your side. It doesn't polarize. We see what Deebo's going through right now because most fans don't care about the business side. Most fans just want to buy your jersey and go to the game and just fight about who the best player on the fight about with the other team. Like, oh, Deebo's the best. No, yeah, like you're taking that away. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. What I want to say is it's interesting what McLaurin's done. He's taken one tack. We'll see if Deebo takes it. What's the most interesting thing to me is that him and AJ Brown are the same exact agents. So let's watch and see how things unfold.
Jimmy Sexton's a huge agent, by the way. He's huge. One of the biggest quarterback agents out there.
So if Deebo doesn't show up, AJ Brown probably won't show up. And that's a decision by the agent, and you can't really hold Deebo responsible for it other than he hired this guy. But here's the main difference so far between Deebo and AJ Brown with the same agents. AJ Brown didn't take his pictures down. He didn't scrub his Instagram. And it's a small thing, but it's a public thing. And to me, that indicates that was a Deebo thing. Because I can't imagine Dandy and Sexton saying Deebo do one thing, AJ Brown do another. Although that's just that's an assumption.
Right.
That's an assumption on my part.
And I think the Instagram thing where it becomes interesting, right? Because we've gone back and forth. I do not believe it's childish. I do not believe it's unprofessional. I don't care what anyone says.
Let me say something real quick.
But okay, go ahead.
My question is, will it help him in terms of business? Will it actually help him?
We don't know. And my entire point was, well, he's a brand on Instagram and he's publicly expressing himself and he gets paid $0 to market, because when Deebo Samuel looks drippy in his 49ers jersey and everybody's like, damn, Deebo looking fly in those 94 throwbacks. What do they immediately do? They go to the Niners website and they're like, I need to get me one of those Deebo jerseys. Deebo's not seeing $1 in that. That's the Niners money. So in my opinion, I don't think athletes should even post the team. Why should they give the team free marketing? Jed York is already making enough money off Deebo Samuel. He should make more off his
I agree with that. And I think a lot of the fans that watch our show are the kind of fans that would agree with that. Because the fans that watch us are highly in tune with the business side of football. Most fans that go to games, though, most fans aren't, don't care.
Right.
And that's what I think that's where Deebo's should tread lightly because he wants those fans on his side.
Right. And I think that's where the thought process differs, right? Because that's my thought process. So I don't really care. Like, I don't really care that he does it. Like, do you? Yeah,
I don't care either. I'm not a 49er fan.
Right. But there are fans, right, to take the other perspective. One thing I will say in his defense is those are the kind of fans, the moment he signs and game one, when he has 70 yards rushing, 120 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns, they'll be right back pumping that Deebo bandwagon. So he knows they're going to come back because they're not, going to be very individual in their thought process. They're 49ers, which is fine. I think the difficulty for him compared to AJ Brown is that it turns a little bit like there's a toxicity to his situation publicly that isn't there with AJ Brown because of it. And then the one last thing I do want to say about both Deebo Samuel and AJ Brown in comparison to their peers, Metcalf and McLaurin in this case. Both of them to me have arguments that Metcalf and McLaurin don't, in the sense that they are essentially their team's offense. Like, a lot of people thought Tennessee's issues last year were rooted on offense with Derrick Henry's injury. They weren't. When AJ Brown played, Tennessee won. They were fantastic on offense with or without Derrick Henry. And part of it is because they had no other offensive weapons. Julio Jones's ever questionable ankles and quads are now questionable and not playing instead of questionable and playing. They don't have much else in terms of support on their offense. It was really AJ Brown, Derrick Henry centric. And
it's true.
So from that standpoint, they were outstanding with AJ Brown on the field. I don't think you can say that with Seattle, because Rashard Penny finished the season exceptionally well. I mean, he finished the season like he was one of the better running backs in the NFL. And Tyler Lockett's a hell of a player. And Metcalf had a little bit of a down year where you couldn't say, oh, Seattle's offense means if you stop DK Metcalf, you can stop that offense. And then Terry McLaurin, he's not in an offense that, one, features him that way, and two, he's just not. He's a little different kind of player from DK Metcalf, Deebo Samuel, and AJ Brown, who can really, really dominate a game physically. And while McLaurin's an outstanding player, I don't know if he asserts a physical dominance over a game, because those three are just absolute freaks in terms of size, speed, and strength, just mauling, just with physicality. And I think that's where Deebo and AJ Brown a little bit defer, because they do have that argument of, we are the guy on the offense. Everything revolves around us. And from that standpoint,
my last thing I'm curious about with this topic is, will Deebo show up? I know we don't know yet. We literally don't know. He said he won't be on the field. Like, that's legit. I mean, he shouldn't be on the field.
Yeah.
We predicted that. But what Terry McLaurin did is kind of
it's the smart media move.
It's how you play the game.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see if Deebo will do it, because, look, my feelings aren't tied into it. But from a business perspective, he's already sort of shown his cards. You could kind of know he's a little upset. We don't know how AJ Brown feels. We know Deebo's a little upset. He took the pictures down. He showed his cards. If he doesn't show up, what does that mean? Does that mean he wants to be on this team still? Does it mean he wants a trade? I know he hasn't requested a trade, but I think these are the questions that would go through my mind. What does this mean, man?
Yeah, and I think, I mean, personally, I have a little different perspective from where I stand, because I understand all of those things, and those things make sense. What I actually gain is, a lot of respect.
Because again, you be turning down $50,000 just to show up and say, I'm a leader, I'm doing everything right. I mean, everyone applauds you and you don't want to go to that. What are you saying?
And it becomes a conversation. It definitely becomes a topic until he signs. But I think Deebo Samuel is telling you there, and that's where I get, because I personally like when athletes are very true to themselves and just express themselves the way they are. I don't really care for, being exceptionally fake because you want people to like you. And I think Deebo Samuel has been real about this entire situation from day one. And that. Where I would respect it is that he's showing you he understands the business of football. For him, it's not, oh, I want this fan to like me, it's this fan to like me. If he gets his money, he's going to do every single thing to be on the field, and he's going to be professional. He's going to play. He's going to show up every week. He's going to get his job done. But if you don't pay him, he's not going to come in and do this fake and sucking up or whatever. He's going to be unhappy about it. And if it gets contentious, he'll go somewhere else and he'll do the same thing. But he understands the business of football, in my opinion. I think that the NFL
understands it, and he's like showing us what it is. Like, he's taking us behind the curtain. My only question is, are his methods going to work business-wise? Is this getting him more or less money?
We'll see.
Because the Niners can say, oh, you didn't even show up. What kind of leader are you?
I mean, we haven't.
You want to be the highest paid player on our team? You're not the leader of our team. You didn't even show up.
I mean, yeah. And then the Niners, I don't remember a player in my lifetime really handling business this way with the 49ers. Yeah. So maybe the Niners are hurt by it or something. I don't know. I mean, again, now we're getting.
I would think they are.
I would think they are. Right?
But again, from their perspective too, if they capitulate because Deebo got emotional or whatever, however you want to say it, because Deebo made it so public. If they just cave,
a different standard for everybody else when they
then they just create the precedent for every single, next player coming up. and it's their agents that would notice anyway. It's very interesting. It's very
But
intriguing. What
I
Deebo's
think the
doing is very bold.
one thing we're seeing is Deebo marches to the beat of his own drum.
No
He's
question.
very, very individual. It doesn't matter what anybody else has done before him, what people have done after him. Deebo is going to do Deebo. And I think that individuality is also kind of unique in the sense that that's what makes him such a good football player.
I
Because
agree.
he doesn't care if you give him the ball as a running back. He doesn't care if he has to get the ball as catching screens.
Great
He
point.
doesn't really care. He's
That's a great
Deebo.
point.
He's going to be – that's the swagger.
And I think this part of it is like him wanting to be the highest paid non-quarterback or whatever, even though it's not even hasn't come out of his mouth, is he's a competitor. He's that competitive. He's that. I mean, to me, what we saw from him last year is he is a Jerry Rice level, Michael Jordan level. Like his drive is on that level. It's A plus. And so that's how these athletes are. I mean, they come with egos. They think they're the best. You know what? Because they might be the best. I mean, are we really surprised?
And his confidence, like you saw the way he talked about, receiving the death threats and the racism. He's totally unshaken by it. He's totally undeterred. And that confidence, to me, week 17 against the Rams, when Jalen Ramsey, or week 18, when Jalen Ramsey hit him early and they were trying to intimidate and not get bullied by the 49ers still ended up bullying them in that game because Deebo was totally unfazed by it. And then the second half, he throws the touchdown. He put the team on his back, essentially, in that game, though Garoppolo had the outstanding drive, which was, the big play in that drive, other than the Jennings touchdown, was a big throw to Deebo Samuel. So I think from that perspective, I think we're getting a lot of insight into who he is as a person. And I think it's interesting. I'm waiting for this to play out because so much, if we take it a step further, so much of it gets into just the speculation of just stuff we can't be sure about until we get a little bit more information. And we will as the offseason keeps going. But I think right now it's exceptionally interesting to view Deebo Samuel and kind of the lens into who he is, and then just to see how the 49ers react to it, because we haven't really gotten a reaction other than the couple leaks that they put out. Yeah,
I'm curious to see how he eventually spins this, because right now it's very open to interpretation. To me,
do you think he does though?
I don't know how this is going to end, man. I'm not. They might trade him, because to me the way this is looking is like he's acting like someone who's burning a bridge. And again, he might show up. He might show up to OTAs and say, I don't know why people assumed all this. Everything's fine, yada, yada, yada. If he doesn't show up to OTAs, he took the pictures down. He looks like someone who's like, they're not going to pay me. They're not going to freaking pay me. This is terrible. I'm going to burn this bridge. I want out. That's almost what it looks like right now. So I'm waiting for Deebo to do something to change the narrative a little bit.
I understand why you look at it that way.
Yes.
And I think a lot of it, and I think the lens of that for Niners fans is the lens of, well, we've not seen another athlete with the 49ers really go about it this way.
No.
And my entire perspective is, well, I live in the Midwest. I see East Coast athletes. I see Midwest athletes. This is how they do business. Yeah. This is how they do business in the South. Ezekiel Elliott, this is how he did business. It was way worse, honestly, than Deebo Samuel. He was working out in Cabo with Rocky Arsenault and all of that until that deal got done. So he was putting out videos of him running in the sand and all of that. So I just think of it, it's normal. I think that the Bay Area, and I think a little bit of the media too, kind of cuffs athletes in the sense it cuffs their expression, because they kind of paint them in a very, very specific way that fans really like to view these athletes only from that perspective. And it's a little bit hero worship. It's a little bit deifying them, but it's deifying them in one specific way where you can deify them because of their football, but they also have to do but they also are the perfect people that listen to everything the coach says, does everything what the organization says, all of that. It kind of just follows in this very traditional line of what this perfect athlete, quote unquote, though I don't think exists, is.
Good word choice. Yeah.
And that's where I don't think.
That's why what I'm saying, Deebo, I feel what you're doing, man, but you are really going against the traditional grain. And I'm not comparing him to Colin Kaepernick because they don't have anything really in common. But if you piss off a certain, let's call them white fans, the traditional segment. Look what happened to Kaepernick. There is you can't, for whatever reason, those fans, that segment, you can't piss them off. And they're just, I don't know. I shouldn't have gone there, but I'm just saying that's what it is. You can't, And Deebo he's a young black man who the same segment that doesn't like Colin Kaepernick is going to look at him saying, who the hell does he think he is? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah,
it sucks that you have to cater to that section of the fan base. Who the hell does this kid think?
I don't think he should.
But it's like, it's such a big part of football. And if you want to get the most money, you kind of have to play you got to do what Terry McLaurin's doing.
I disagree with that latter part because I don't think he does need to cater to those fans. Because to me, those fans, the moment he signs, shows up to training camp, the first training camp video of Trey Lance hitting Deebo Samuel for a 70-yard touchdown. I love Deebo. Deebo's the best in the NFL. He understands that business of it. He knows that the fans that are turning on him now will be back when he performs on the field.
That's true.
So he doesn't care for those fans either. I think that's what he's telling you.
That's true. We got hard left turn saying we don't know what Deebo looks like with a decent QB throwing in the ball. Isn't it we're seeing what we have? Could always trade later and front load. Yeah, what if what happened to Cooper Kupp last year happens to Deebo this year? You know what I mean?
What
if what happened to Cooper Kupp last year happens to Deebo this year? Why wouldn't that happen?
100% possible. 100% possible.
Why would that not happen? Everyone thinks Trey Lance is going to get here. Like, you know what? I like throwing to him more. Like, no, Deebo's the best player in the league. No.
This was kind of it's funny. It's funny because it's actually hilarious. It's not just funny. It's hilarious. This notion that somehow the offense was structured a specific way because Garoppolo was the quarterback, and now because they have what everybody views as a better quarterback, their best wide receiver. I almost said wide receiver. I don't know why I said that. Wide receiver would not thrive as much. I don't understand it. Like Demaryius Thomas was very good the second half of this season with Tim Tebow. What happened when he got Peyton Manning?
He's just not a good fit with Peyton Manning. Let's enough Deebo for today. Let's talk about the guy again who's chilling in the back of the class with his hoodie on, avoiding all scrutiny. Nick Bosa. My question, Vish, do you think Nick Bosa will sign an extension this year? And the reason I ask is because his brother, Joey Bosa, did not sign an extension with the Chargers after year 3. He waited until year 4, which was quite a lucrative decision for him. It paid off. He got a lot more money. What do you think Nick Bosa would do?
Because he was basically what he did by waiting on year 4 is he was able to wait on Garrett, let Garrett reset the market, and then he was able to reset it from Garrett. And Watt did the same thing, right? And so I don't know if Nick Bosa signs an extension. I think the Niners would like to sign Nick Bosa this offseason and get it done so that they don't have to have that looming. But I don't think Nick Bosa should feel any pressure to get this deal done because Nick Bosa is resetting the defensive end market no matter what. There's nobody really right now that's due for a contract that's going to do that.
Say no matter what, unless he tears his ACL again, which is something he needs to calculate in this because he has had these injuries. But barring another catastrophic injury, you're right.
Sure, knock on wood, it doesn't happen. He's going to do it. I mean, Joey Bosa's guaranteed money was, I think it was $78 million in his first 3 years were fully guaranteed. So Nick Bosa, and I think he was at $26 million annually. TJ Watt took it to 28, 29. Nick Bosa is going to be right on 30. He's going to be right on 30 or he's going to cross it. And he's going to be the first one to do it. And the thing with Bosa is he has the advantage that Deebo doesn't have because the 5th-year option really turns into kind of like a franchise tag today. So Nick Bosa is going to get, $20 million, I think it is, fully guaranteed essentially. Yeah, no matter what, injury guarantee, no matter what, he's getting $20 million in his 5th year. And they're going to take his 5th-year option no matter what, because that cap hit is probably going to be less than what happens when they sign his deal. They would like to extend upon the 5th year rather than scratch out the 5th year and go from there. At least that's how it would make sense, in my opinion, to do the contract. You have the exact number for Nick Bosa's 5th-year option?
No. Hold on. Let me see. Nick Bosa, where are you? I'll have it in 2 seconds. Clicked on Bosa. Now the page is loading, and it says it's going to be $17.8 million tentatively. 17.8.
Okay, 17.8. Still a lot of money, fully guaranteed. And Watt waited till year 4. His brother waited till year 4. Look, I don't think that the market, other than injuries, is really going to change for Bosa, whether he signs it this year or next year. Maybe he can wait out and try to get his hands on a bit more money because now you get closer to the Amazon money kicking in. And now and now you can get that money. But look, I think the Niners will try to get this done, especially this offseason, because they don't want this looming. But I don't think there's actually a lot of pressure on Bosa, quote unquote, to get it done. Because because he's going to be the one to reset the market, whether he does it this year or whether he does it next year.
Real quick, what strikes me about the dichotomy here, I'm an English major, so like the comparison, the juxtaposition of Deebo and Bosa. Deebo is over here like inventing ways to get leverage. Bosa's like, I'll be there at OTAs. Like, I don't care. I mean, maybe he won't, and we don't know. But there is no urgency on his part. He's fine. I mean, from his perspective, he's like, you know what? Let's talk next year.
Didn't he miss the first couple days? Hasn't he missed the first couple days of voluntary OTAs before?
Yeah, because he's like in. Well, I mean,
he works out in Florida.
In 2020, they didn't really have him because it was the pandemic. In 2021, he was coming off an injury. In 2019, he was coming off an injury. So
okay, sorry.
I don't really know what he does. Yeah,
in 2021, wasn't he rehabbing away from the team, away from the facility, and then he just showed up, whatever. So
he was smart. He didn't want to have a setback.
Yeah, but that's harsh. That is harsh. But what I wanted to say is Nick Bosa also, in a sense, beats to his own drum because his family knows the business, right? So he has his own dietitian, he has his own trainer, he has everything, and he kind of shows up ready to go every season. Basically, like he comes in perfectly fit. You know, his weight is great, his flexible, all of these things. But he's not also just gonna. I don't know if he's just 100% guaranteed to show up to voluntary OTAs. I think he might come, but he works out by himself in Florida.
The reason I said he's also rich, I mean, the thing about him is I feel like with the Watts too, the same family, they don't have to, you know, they don't have to be like, I need the money now. This money is going to change my entire family. Like, nah, they're already millionaires. They can afford to wait a year and play for even more money. There's not a lot of families in the NFL that are in that position. A lot of quarterbacks are, but not a lot of dudes come from money like Bosa does. So I'm just that's another thing in his favor. In his pocket.
I mean, I look, I think that when you bring up this conversation, I'd like to say that 100% Nick Bosa's deal gets done this offseason. But honestly, given that his brother got signed after year 4, I don't know if Nick Bosa is just going to be pressing because I don't think it makes that much of a difference to Nick Bosa whether he gets the money. In fact, I think he could probably get a couple more dollars if he waits maybe one more year and has another outstanding season, which if he's healthy, he's going to have it. So it'll be interesting.
He's made close to $29 million in the NFL, unlike Deebo, who's made about $6 million. So he comes from money, has all this money. He was
a second overall draft pick. Deebo was a second round draft pick. Well, this is a different conversation. Yeah,
totally different conversation. So, from the Niners perspective too, like they always want to have a team friendly deal. Well, with Bosa, how do you do that when he'd be willing? He's the exact opposite of Deebo. Like Deebo wants to get paid now. Deebo would be in his best interest to wait until Terry McLaurin signs, DK Metcalf signs, AJ Brown signs. Like it would be in his best interest to wait. Apparently, he doesn't want to wait. He wants to get it over with. He wants some money now. Bosa, it's like, nah, it potentially could be like.
And I'll throw this in. I'll throw this in, though. I'll throw this in.
Yes.
Just as a detail to Joey Bosa's contract negotiation, that was the year he had the foot injury and he missed the first half of the season after his third year. So that maybe played a role because maybe the Chargers weren't willing to dole it out then. But then Joey Bosa's first 2 years, he played just about every game and he had 10.5 sacks.
That's what I'm saying. Like if the Chargers tried to use anything against him in negotiations and were like, we're going to give you a little bit less and make it team friendly, Joey's like, no, and I'll prove it next year. And I think Bosa, if the Niners are like, well, you missed that year and you've had these injuries, we want to structure it in a way that kind of is like, no, absolutely not. That's what I think will happen. So the Niners are going to have to come correct, and even if they do, it might not be good enough.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. I see a lot of people, getting so upset about the Deebo deal. Nick Bosa is just sitting back here waiting. But do you think Nick Bosa is not going to reset the market? I think Nick Bosa is going to set a 49ers record in terms of guaranteed money, and his play deserves it. They drafted him second overall. They got everything they wanted.
In terms of like selfishness and greediness, like Bosa could far outpace Deebo. The difference is that Deebo went public. And if I bet his agent probably when he did it was like,
they better be greedy. Bosa and Deebo.
Yeah.
If wanting your money, getting what's you're getting is getting paid, excuse me, what you're worth. I can't talk this morning. Getting paid what you're worth is greedy. Then Bosa and Deebo better be greedy because they better get
Fred
paid what
Warner
they're
wanted
worth.
it. Fred Warner wanted to be the highest paid middle linebacker. Kittle wanted to be the highest paid tight end. Kyle Juszczyk has been the highest paid fullback for 5 years. I mean, these guys all have their egos. Why is Deebo not entitled to his? Why does everyone not want to take him down a peg? What is that? I know what it is.
Yeah, they throw out
It's a rhetorical question.
the quote unquote pure wide receiver argument. I don't know what a pure wide receiver is. Do you?
Like, because he's good at playing running back, he's somehow less.
See, that's the other thing, right? He had 882 receiving yards in 8 games. He didn't play running back because the 49ers needed to maximize his production. He played running back because the Niners weren't making the playoffs unless he played
because they're afraid to let Jimmy Garoppolo throw the ball more than 25 times a game, and they can't. They had to keep getting the ball to Deebo. Matt says Vish without the Niners, Deebo doesn't exist. That's why it behooves him to sport Niner gear, not vice versa. Few athletes invert that principle.
Without the NFL, Deebo doesn't exist. But there's 31 other teams. The Niners don't make these athletes. He has 31 other opportunities to have a job. Like, because, a company gives me a job, right? And a company be without SI, Grant, do you think that you have to put SI all over your Instagram because without SI, Grant Cohn is not writing?
No. The only difference is, and I know it's weird, but again, the only difference is I'm no one's hero. Maybe I'm no one's hero. No one has my jersey. No one paid to have their my likeness in their house. Football is a very strange. I'm not a fan. I'm not into that kind of thing. But there are fans who buy jerseys and go to games and get in fights and to take this stuff really freaking seriously. And as long as you play by the rules like Bosa is, dude, you're God to them. You're a hero. You're the most important person in the world.
And I can't stand these rules.
I know, right? I know. I don't do this. I'm not a fan. But this is how most people interact with football. You're either a hero, you're either with us, and if you're with us, you're a hero. And once you're out, well, and I just feel like Deebo is, anyway, this is a Nick Bosa look what Nick Bosa is doing, man. He has a much more troubling history of social media posts than Deebo, right? But no one talks about that right now because he never took down pictures wearing Niner uniform. He's one of us. He's a hero. I'm just saying, it's how the game works, and it's one of the main reasons I'm not any fan. I think the whole culture.
I mean, he did have yeah. I mean, I don't get it. I don't think I'll ever get it. I guess this is just something that I just won't understand because logically it just doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe they're not role models. They're not heroes. They're just people. And once you start covering,
they're people doing a job.
Yeah, they're people doing a job. And once you get in the locker room and I'm doing a job and they're doing a job, like the whole idea of looking at them as heroes, it's like it's gone. It's just that's just some guy that doesn't like me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just some guy in his way. All right, let's move on. Last topic. Trey Lance, big news. Yes, I don't know if you heard. Big news. Trey Lance reportedly, according to Jeremy Fowler, has gotten private indications, whatever those mean, that he's going to be the starting quarterback this year. How much stock do you put into this report here?
Nothing. I don't know what the hell an indication is.
Yeah.
What is an indication?
So, okay. So immediate questions that come to mind. One is what is a private indication? 2, if he had gotten a private indication, why would Jeremy Fowler be the first person, the only person who knows? That would be the next
Maybe he's pally with Jimmy Sexton, who's also Trey Lance's agent.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just felt like that was something that was just reported to be reported. Niners fans have also gotten indications that Trey Lance is going to be the starter this year. So maybe Trey Lance is getting those same indications because Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have only given indications thus far rather than just coming out and saying it. I don't know what consists of an indication. Is it that, Jimmy's hurt, so Trey Lance, you're going to start in this offseason, so that's an indication that he might start through OTAs and everything? I don't know. Garoppolo's still on this roster. I would have preferred the report to be that in spite of Garoppolo being on this roster, Trey Lance has been told that he is 100% the Niners guy moving forward. I like dealing with definitives a little bit more. To me, that's a real report because the Niners have not come out and said yet. And that's a report to me that would actually make a lot of sense. To me, Trey Lance getting indications that he's going to start. Well, 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, that's what they traded up to go get him. Is that not an indication that at some point he's going to be the starting quarterback for the 49ers? Like, I didn't need Jeremy Fowler talking to anybody to get that indication.
Yeah, it seems more like a guess after hearing what they said at the owners' meetings too. But like, I don't know. It just seems like a private indication is meaningless in the real world. Like if like you're about to get a job, you're about to graduate from college. If you've gotten a private indication from a company that they're going to hire you, but they never sent you an offer letter, like would you be telling people in your family like I got this job? They'd be like, no, you didn't get the job, dog. You got nothing. And I want to say from experience, I got private indications many times from the Santa Rosa Press Democrat that they were going to promote me from independent blogger who got no benefits and made about $1,000 to $2,000 a month to full-time journalist on the payroll. It never happened. And I got many private indications. You know what, people?
It happens.
They can always deny it.
Time.
They can always deny it
all the time.
Yeah, things change.
In the draft all the time. How many times do players come out and say, like Jalen Ramsey said it in his recent interview, he got private indications from Dallas that if he was there at 4, done deal. They're taking Jalen Ramsey. They took Ezekiel Elliott.
Here's what's going to happen. Like John Lynch is going to talk in a week from today in person. I'll be there. And a fair question. He's a fair guy. I'll say, John, it's been reported by ESPN that Trey Lance has received private indications from the team that he will be the starting quarterback this year. Is that true? What's he going to say? He's going to be like, well, right? Well, we love it. He's not going to answer the question directly.
Here's what he will say. He'll be clever about it. He'll say, yes, we think that's a plan, but Trey knows that he's got to come out and compete and earn that. And we believe 100% that he has the potential to come in and do it, but he has to come out and earn that. Being a starting quarterback in the NFL is a right.
So he's gotten a private indication of that there's going to be a quarterback competition and that he's good enough to win it. That's what you're telling me. Not that he's if he was the starter, there wouldn't be a quarterback competition. So you're telling him that he has the opportunity to compete for his job this year. Great.
I think the idea with the report is they're trying to put it out there that, like, look, hey, no matter what you see, and with Garoppolo still being on this roster, we still 100% believe in Trey Lance, and Trey Lance 100% believes in us, and he knows that we're sticking to the plan, and he's sticking to the plan. But
we're just trying to trick a team into trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, as if teams would only see some reports, but not this one. Like, privately indicate. Teams don't know that. Teams don't know that. They still think Jimmy's a starter. They're still going to trade a second-round pick for Jimmy.
Indicate is such a weird word because it's so vague. Indicate could mean anything. It could really mean, what is an indication? Also, indication is open to interpretation, right? Like an indication to Trey Lance that he might be the starter might be the installation of a few plays that are specific to his skill set.
That could be that. It could have been a wink and a nod. It could have been a tone in Kyle Shanahan's voice. It could be a glint in his eye. We don't know. But it's now that it's been reported, it's going to be me or someone else. Probably Matt Mayoko straight off the bat. Hey, it's been reported. What? And I'm sure he's prepared for it. I mean, come on, John. We'd love to know what you have to say. Say something. I think he will. John's pretty savvy. He knows what the questions are going to be.
Yeah, I think he's going to go to the right. Being a starting quarterback is a right out of privilege. I don't know.
They're trying to walk the fence of supporting Trey Lance, but not benching Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Is like keeping Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what they're – good luck.
That's the vibe I get.
Good luck with that tightrope act. I don't see how you actually pull it off.
I think I keep going back to it as I don't understand it. When you traded up that much to Trey Lance, Garoppolo doesn't really matter anymore. I'm sorry. That's just the nature of the business.
They're not lying, but they're lying to themselves. They keep trying to say, well, we like Jimmy. That's why we haven't traded him yet, because we like him more than the rest of the league. No, you don't. That's why you brought in
traded up that much.
Yeah, you don't. Stop telling people how much you like Jimmy. And we don't believe you.
And I think that I will say that part for me as a fan is a little bit frustrating, because I would love for them to just be definitive. Just come out and say, all right, guys, training wheels are off. Jimmy Garoppolo is gone. We're on the Trey Lance train, and we're going full force ahead. And, that could be their internal thought process. I don't know why there's a fear to say it publicly, because at this point, there's no repercussions. Garoppolo's trade market is what it is.
It feels like if 2019 had started and the Ravens hadn't decided who they wanted to have at quarterback, they're still being like, okay, well, we have Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson. Like, what do we do? And that's what it feels like. It's like, what do you really? Is this even a
No,
question?
all these other teams that you want to compare it to, they were basically clean cut, move on and move forward. Like at the beginning of the offseason, they were not dealing with this problem in the middle of April. In fact, in the end of April, we're nearing the end of April, and they still have, Garoppolo just chilling. I mean, he's having a good time. He's going to Hooters. He's living life. Good for him.
Look, man, if Lance stunk in training camp, I would understand it. I would get the Niners like being, you know what? We got it wrong. He was terrible. And I've seen people be bad. Like Dante Pettis. When I saw Dante Pettis sort of like shy away from contact in a non-contact scrimmage, I was like, I don't think this is going to work. And I pretty much wrote him off right there. I never saw anything from Trey Lance that would say, oh, this is just a deal breaker. And then he definitely showed enough in his rookie season for you to say, that's a promising young rookie.
Let me ask you this. Compare Trey Lance to Colin Kaepernick's first rookie camp. Who looked more ready, in your opinion?
It's night and day. Colin Kaepernick. Well, okay, so Colin Kaepernick, when he
struggled to take snaps under center. I remember that.
He was freaking 24. He had never taken snaps under center because he was in the Pistols. He was fumbling every day. He was non-functional. Trey Lance was like completing big, like 40, 50-yard throws daily. He was having explosive plays daily. It was nothing like that. And Kaepernick was playing with the backups too. I'm just saying.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just saying. There was no discussion that year of who's better, him or Alex Smith.
Right?
There was no discussion.
I asked the question because I wanted you to provide a frame of reference on what was the difference between you seeing, right? Between the two times you went to practice. And so that's where, dude, I just don't get it. What is the harm to just say, look, we're all in? You've already indicated. And that's what frustrated me last year too, when they didn't make the state of the franchise about him. They drafted him 3rd overall, traded 3 first-round picks. He's the guy they should be just marketing. They should be throwing everything. The propaganda should be, Trey Lance. They should be shoving Trey Lance content down our throats daily.
Do you understand? Like, people not from around here, but I don't know if you saw it in Chicago, but what they did for Tua in Miami, do you understand? Yeah. Like, it's all about Tua in Miami. Yeah. Like, he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
It's a frustration. Let me tell you that. Yeah. It's a frustration for Bears fans looking at this new regime. And it is, what are you doing to make this all about Justin Fields? Because the offensive line still looks like a problem. The receivers are still a problem. Like, why aren't you giving Justin Fields the necessary support?
So bad.
People look at Justin Fields as well.
As soon as he got drafted by the Bears, we were like, oh.
Yeah. And people here look at Justin Fields as, oh my God, we might have a quarterback for the first time ever. Because they didn't look at Trubisky really that way. Some Bears fans did, but there was always a little bit of a reluctance with Trubisky because they viewed everybody watched college football here, and people saw Deshaun Watson as kind of the superstar. And not every fan in other places, just because their organization drafts somebody, they're all in on that guy. Some of these people are, especially here, are exceptionally, sometimes even to a fault, independent thinking and get so wrapped up and angry. And they're all in on Justin Fields, and that's where like they're upset about it. And I don't think it needs to be in terms of the moves you make. I don't even think there should be, but I don't see what the problem is not being able to just publicly say, he's our guy. He's the starter this offseason. We're all in. We're coming in. We're just going in with him. Doesn't change much, but it makes me feel a lot better. I think it would make a lot of people feel a lot. Yeah.
Last year, they were definitive that it was Jimmy Garoppolo's team. Like, they made the trade and they're like, look, we just want to make this clear. The first time they had a press conference, they're like, this is still Jimmy's team.
Post-draft, right? Because
this is still Jimmy's team. Right. And they made that clear, and because for the sake of, unity in the locker room and having one direction, and it was important for them last year. Well, it's still important. I mean, you have to do that for one of your quarterbacks eventually. And if you're going to keep the mystery going, I think you're doing a disservice to your team. But
they're trying to keep a mystery going that's not really a mystery, but they're the only ones that don't seem to say it. Everybody else is like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Trey Lance is going to start for this team. Yeah, we're pretty sure. You don't trade that much up. And then the Niners are out here saying, well, hey, Trey, wink, wink. You got a good chance of starting next year.
Say it with your chest. John, you have an opportunity in 7 days to name Trey Lance your starting quarterback. Do it. He won't, though, because they could have at the owners' meetings and they didn't. So what has changed since then? Nothing. Exactly what you said.
Him still being on the roster, like, again, Alex Smith, Mahomes, if you want to compare to that ship has sailed so far because Alex Smith was off the Chiefs in January. They went and won the Sammy Watkins sweepstakes in March, and they were basically telling everybody that, oh, Patrick Mahomes is a superstar, right? I remember every media member seemed to know that the best kept secret, like his week 1 performance, people were blown away by it. But I remember the media members in tune and like with insight were all like, yeah, this is what they've been telling us every camp practice. Like, this guy is different. And
Yes.
Niners don't necessarily need to go that far, but they also could just say, yeah, we're all in. We have this guy. We traded up for him. I think we all think that you traded up for him because you're all in on him. You could literally just say, look.
Yeah, like a private indication relayed through Jeremy Fowler is not good enough. John, you got to figure out what you're going to say in a week to the media that's going to be better than that. Because it's not just for like you, it's for the team. It's for what's best for the team. There are no other contenders in the NFL who are messing around with the quarterback position or keeping the mystery going this late in the year. Is there another team that I'm unaware of that's an actual contender that's like, we don't know per se who are
No.
yet?
There's nobody. Everybody knows who their QB is, and I think the Niners probably do know who their QB is, but I don't see why you can't say it if you know.
Yeah.
Like look at Miami, right? I mean, Jim Harbaugh did it for Alex Smith when he came in 2011. Yeah. He was like, no, Alex Smith's my quarterback. Alex Smith's my guy. I think Alex Smith's fantastic, and they just went on. That was who they were going.
From his perspective, the vote of confidence meant so much. Like, you know what Alex Smith needs? He needs a coach to have his back. And I think to a degree he was right. And you know how
Mike McDaniel is doing that right now for Tua.
And you know how Harbaugh knew that bit of psychology insight? Because he was a quarterback for the Bears. For the Bears.
And people want to compare Shanahan to Belichick, but if you go back and look, Belichick early in Brady's career gave Brady the ultimate vote of confidence many times, and it was shown through actions, right? Like, he stuck with him after Bledsoe won the AFC Championship game because Brady was hurt, and he played. And was it Dave's? Yeah, AFC Championship game. Bledsoe beat Pittsburgh, right?
Yes, that's true.
And then he stuck with Brady. He gave Brady the opportunity to go win that game when John Madden said, "Oh, I don't know if I'd put the ball in Brady's hands." He stuck with Brady after Bledsoe's original injury. The moment that offseason hit, he didn't care where he traded Bledsoe. He sent him to the Bills and division rival.
Yep.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
So I don't think it is that situation at all, because the Niners continue to – I mean, they don't make a single public definitive statement about this, and I think it's annoying because your statement was already made by trading 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance. You can't hedge your bets now. Say you're all in. Say this is our starting quarterback. This is not – I don't know what the benefit is when everybody knows what it is with Trey Lance, that you're going to say, well, he could be the starter. Well, we're not just going to trade a good quarterback away and Garoppolo, blah, 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 blah. He could come back for us. I don't understand. What do you think you're gaining? You think Carolina is going to be also, oh, shoot, they might keep Garoppolo. Crap. We got to get Garoppolo.
Let's trade a first-round pick for him. Can we trade the 6th? Let's trade the 6th. Let's trade the 6th pick overall. Let's trade number 6. Like, that's not going to happen.
Garoppolo that way. Carolina would be like, oh, crap, Niners want to keep Garoppolo? They're stupid. Hey, Cleveland, how's Baker Mayfield doing?
Hey, can we trade for Trey? I'm just saying. How long before that happens? Yeah, all right. Ninth Wonder Comics says Niners were happy to overpay Jimmy Garoppolo, but dragging their feet on paying Deebo. Made Jimmy Garoppolo starter after 5 games, but won't publicly commit to Trey. Yeah. It's a bad look, Niners. It's a bad look.
I think the Garoppolo situation is a little bit different because he was an impending free agent. True. But them paying him after 5 games set a different type of precedent for this regime. Again, different contract because he was the quarterback, but he was the highest paid player in the NFL.
Yes, he was. No trade clause.
He got his deal.
6-year deal. Willie Mendoza says, I don't care what anyone out of the organization says at this point. I'll take any rumor as false rumor until Kyle Lynch make it official. Hey, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's not like anyone else has corroborated what Jeremy Fowler said. He won't even say what a private indication is. They have 7 days to say something publicly, and I think
it's open interpretation, right? Like, one reporter can be like, yo, Jeremy, I didn't get a private indication. Well, they sent me this. Well, they sent me the same exact text. You got an indication from that? Oh, shoot, Did I read that wrong?
Oh, I thought you said you got a wink and a nod. I thought you said you got a wink and a nod. That's an indication. If you get the wink without the nod, it's not an indication, but the wink and the nod, I mean, that's classic indication.
It's like writing essays in English class. Like we used to all cite the same quotes because in my senior year of high school, we weren't allowed to have the book with us when we would have to write our essays. So we'd all memorize like the same 3 or 4 quotes that the teacher talked about earlier in the class. We'd be like, that's meaningful. And we would all write about the same quote. And some of us would have totally different
symbolism
essays.
Here?
And sometimes, like, the quote wouldn't even fit our thesis, but we had to shove that quote in anyway. Oh, you got that indication?
The rhyme scheme? Oh, the meter? Ninth Wonder Comics says, I bet Kyle and John are horrible poker players. Well, John especially, man. John is always going up to his ear. We already know his stuff.
Hey, guys. I have a royal flush. But I'm not gonna go all in. I'm gonna bet low. Oh shoot, you want to bet with me?
I'm slow playing it. Are you sure you want it? You sure you want? Because I'm just saying, you haven't heard it from me, but I probably have a full house.
Yeah, I got a full house. I'm gonna tell you guys I have a full house, but I'm not gonna tell you that I'm going all in. So you might think I don't have the full house, and
right.
like
so
you might want to bet me all in.
Michael says, if anyone thinks the Niners had Trey Lance as the quarterback, they traded up for your nuts. They traded to get the best quarterback available at 3 in a deep quarterback class. That just so happens to be Trey. They settled. Well, who did they think? It seemed to me that Kyle has a direct line to Robert Saleh. If he thought the Jets weren't going to take Zach Wilson, like, did Saleh lie to him, or does Kyle not know him as well? I mean, what do the Niners think? Did they think they were going to get Zach Wilson? And is that even better?
I mean, I do think that at some point in the draft process, they did love Zach Wilson, but I also think they realized that the Jets probably looked at Zach Wilson the same way they did. Now, they might have traded up to 3, and they might have been totally upfront with the situation. They might have traded up to 3 with the right to study Fields, Lance, and Jones more. I do think it came down to Lance and Jones, but they traded up to 3 ultimately to get a quarterback. And whether they landed at Trey or whether they traded up for Trey is kind of moot because that's who they took. That's their guy. And when you give up that much for a quarterback, that has to be your guy. And everybody knows it's your guy. So why won't you just freaking publicly say he's your guy?
The idea of trading 3 first-round picks plus a third for a position in the draft, like a slot.
No, it's not.
Not
it's
even
stupid.
a player.
It's stupid. It's stupid.
It's super stupid.
You only trade up for a player, actually. Yeah. Trading up for the right to draft somebody is
that much
questionable.
No, you can't do
it's questionable in terms of how you're valuing things.
Yeah. Sean says Joe Montana and Dan Marino took time to get started. All the rookie quarterbacks last year did nothing except Jones.
Yeah.
They were on bad teams.
19. Joe, didn't Dan Marino throw for 5,000 yards and take the Dolphins to the Super Bowl in his second year?
Yeah, Dan Marino was pretty good.
Also, he threw for 5,000 yards in the middle of 1980. Like, what are we doing here? And then, all the rookie quarterbacks did nothing except Jones. Well, what are the veteran quarterbacks going to do in Jacksonville and in Chicago and with the Jets last year? Those teams are horrible.
Dan Marino started 9 games as a rookie, and his quarterback rating was 96. That was 1983. So that was
like having a quarterback rating of
5,000 yards when he was 23. He was all pro 3 years in a row. He was the MVP.
And I tweeted this out. I tweeted this out in the middle of the season. Grant, let's have this conversation right now.
Yeah.
How good are the Jacksonville Jaguars last year if Jimmy Garoppolo is their quarterback instead of Trevor Lawrence? Is Jimmy Garoppolo lighting the league up?
No. What would have happened is he would have got hurt, and then people being like, "Well, we don't know. We don't know how good they." It would have been. You remember when Nick Foles went to the Jaguars, and everyone was like, "Well, they got a leader," and he got hurt week 1, and it was over.
Yeah.
Or like when Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Washington, and he got hurt week 1, and it was over.
Yeah.
That's what it would have been like. I'm guessing that's what would have happened.
Okay.
And
my point.
If he ever gets an opportunity to play for another team, that's sort of what I'm expecting.
My point is this is apples and oranges, right? Because
yes.
Like if you put a lot of these veteran quarterbacks, like how bad was Andy Dalton? I mean, okay, maybe you want to say Andy Dalton's bad, but a lot of these veteran quarterbacks, unless you're going to talk like the Mahomes and the Josh Allens and the Joe Burrows, Lamar Jacksons, if you're not going to talk about the best quarterbacks in the NFL, a lot of these veteran, middling, starter, mediocre quarterbacks are going to go and they're going to be horrible for the Jets, and they're going to be horrible for the Jaguars, and they're going to be horrible for the Bears. So what does that say? And a lot of them would have been okay for the Patriots, and Mac Jones was pretty good. So he's maybe a little better than the middling guys. And a lot of them would have been excellent for the 49ers. Or it depends. What do you view as Garoppolo's players? What do you view as excellent? Good? What do you give me a word to describe Garoppolo's play?
Serviceable. when healthy.
Serviceable. A lot of these veteran middling quarterbacks would have been serviceable on the 49ers. It's not. It wasn't as much that Trevor Lawrence was a rookie, though. He did not play well, or Zach Wilson, though they technically did not play well. It was also that they were surrounded by. Can I cuss?
Go for it. Yeah.
They were surrounded by shit.
Yes, I agree, and I think just Trevor Lawrence is better than serviceable in terms of talent. You put him on the Niners.
Yeah. So is Zach Wilson. Better. So is Justin Fields.
Yes. And that's why I to finish it up, to wrap a bow on this Trey Lance thing, I don't understand why the Niners are so apprehensive. It's like, do you understand? Look at how far you went twice with Jimmy Garoppolo. How could Trey Lance be worse? How? I've seen them in person on the same practice field in the same training camp. He's not worse. Just have some guts, please. I don't know what it is. Kyle's just very traditional and conservative and apprehensive. But I think trust yourself. I don't know. But he's talking that way at the owners' meetings. Like, well, we're trying to trade Jimmy for a reason. All right, great. Michael says they traded up for Wilson after Wilson pro day, literally the same day Jets came out after the Niners trade that they wanted Wilson. The Niners settled on quarterback. Is the only thing that makes sense. Play the kid.
Play the kid. That's it. That last part is all that matters.
I was thinking that the 49ers, like Kyle and Salah, spoke at Zach Wilson's pro day and was like, Kyle's like, so you're going to take him?
No, Kyle didn't go, right? It was Adam.
Someone
Lynch there, yeah.
Someone was like, yeah, you're going to take him? And Salah was probably like,
I mean, they had to have indication because people had been mocking Zach Wilson to the Jets for
private indication. Yeah. That's the word of the day. Private indication.
I mean, Joe Douglas is also really, really connected with all these media guys, which is why they keep telling everybody that, Joe Douglas is really smart. They do it for all the guys from Philly. They do it for all of them. Just notice, whoever, like Daniel Jeremiah, these guys, they know him, and they'll hype him up as Joe Douglas is really smart. I mean, we'll see if he's a good GM. I don't know. But, like, they all seem to know. They all seem to have the quote-unquote private indication that Zach Wilson was going
to. Chris says top 5-10 quarterbacks could have some success.
Yeah, and Jacksonville, yeah, those are the only people. Like, the really, really special guys, which we don't know if Lawrence, Fields, Wilson, even Lance, if any of those guys are going to be those really, really special guys yet. But don't come at me saying, the other rookie quarterbacks struggled when these middling, mediocre starters were going to go wet the bed there too.
Question for next week. Would you rather have a good quarterback, a very good quarterback, and the best supporting cast in the league, or the best quarterback in the league and a very good supporting cast? What would you rather have?
So the supporting cast is very good for the best quarterback.
Yes,
I'll take the best quarterback with the cast. I'll take the best quarterback with the very good supporting cast.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Anyway, it's an interesting thing to think about. Lawrence says draft. They liked all three better than Jimmy Garbage. Man, but did they like them? Did they like all three that much with three first-round picks in the third? You liked them the Deshaun Watson level? I guess. Anyway,
I mean, yeah.
That's our show for today. We were trying to keep it light because there's not a lot going on. We don't want to, create controversy where it's not there because people are getting mad at me saying it's my fault. People are mad at Deebo. I promise it's not my fault. That I'm on Deebo's side here. Pay him. A private indication.
Yeah. Somebody tweeted at me saying the people sending racist tweets to Deebo are your and Grant's fans. And I told him, I responded to him because I thought I shouldn't have responded to him in the first place, but I responded saying I don't have fans. So that was the end of that conversation.
Second of all, pay Deebo. And on that note,
no, but I that one's actually kind of shocking to me. I don't know if I have fans. I'm not going to come out and be very, very entitled about it by saying, I have fans. They believe in sit for every word I say. But I don't know if I do. But I think that you and I have been as much pro player as anybody, any two people that do a show and talk about this in terms of being players get their money. I think that you and I have been probably as outspoken as anyone.
As the idea that I'm like the voice of the disgruntled fan that doesn't do any analysis and
you're the exact opposite. The disgruntled fan hates you.
Yeah, they hate me. Michael Hamilton says Deebo is doing best thing for him as he should. Loyalty does not exist. Only business decisions. Guaranteed money is all that matters. Public. These are my fans. The ones that get it.
This is
The
it.
ones that
This
get
is
it.
it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand what I feel you, Michael. Go Deebo.
I
Get
public
that paper, dog.
exactly. Thank you. That's the exact feeling I have too about it.
Great
Michael
show.
summed it
Cohn and
up.
Vish. Thank you, Damien. Thank you,
Thank you.
Vish. We back next week. You know how we do. Same time, same place.
Same time, same place.
About to have some draft picks to talk about too. It's about to ratchet up. And next week we'll know what's up with Deebo. I mean, the drama. Theoretically,
well, I mean, next week we'll get his presser. We'll still probably have 17 million questions, but hopefully, there will be some interesting questions about how John Lynch has spent his Easter and how John Lynch has been, managing himself, and hopefully he's doing okay. And that's the questions we'll get, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm being very sarcastic. I'm being a jerk. I apologize, but
he made it through Easter Mass without kicking anyone off the team or the.
No. I apologize. That was sarcastic. That was uncalled for. But I'm hoping we get maybe some questions that force John Lynch to have to answer and explain some of these.
I'll do the best I can. I think we shall, because I mean, there's not that many. Here's the thing: usually you go there and it's a million different questions about what they could do in round one. Not this year. Now all the questions are going to be like, well, you do have a draft, but we have other business to sort of take care of.
John, I hope someone asks. I hope Kyle shows up and someone goes, John, do you think Garoppolo will be on this team after the draft? And Kyle goes, I cannot guarantee anybody will even be alive.
Hell yeah. He should just have like a button that he can press that says it for him. It's like, you know what I mean? Anyway, Vish.
All-time moment.
Thanks for doing this. We'll be back. That's my only show today. Leaving you wanting more. I'll see you tomorrow. Or will I?